What's up? This is EJ Stewart.
What if I drop 40 days, 40 nights?
One, you can't do it.
All you are your words. If there's anything you learned about me, I'm gonna keep it 100 with you.
Every morning, every night, for 40 days.
Going to be a long 40 days this year.
My skill shot will hold for your city for 40 days, 40 nights.
Rest in peace to all my ops.
For 40 days. If I can do that, then everything will be okay.
You're the guy who can't finish a sandwich. You think you can go 40 days? This isn't normal!
Oh, you're wrong, brother. I'm gonna go the distance.
Let's go! Let's go is right. What's up? This is EJ Stewart. You're watching 40 Days, 40 Nights with your boy EJ Stewart, where I do 2 live stream shows per day. 1 in the morning at 8 a.m., 1 in the evening at 6 p.m. We have plenty to get to on the show, and this is going to be a good one. Big news coming out of the NFL. A major trade happens. An all-pro corner is headed out west. The Rams, adding to the adage that they have lived by, F them picks, trade another high draft pick for a star defensive back in Trent McDuffie. We'll break that down in just a little bit. We'll also talk about some other NFL news regarding the trade block. 2 other big stars that potentially could be on the move. Learning a little bit more about what it will cost to get Max Crosby out of Las Vegas. Also, what it will take to get A.J. Brown out of Philly. Spoiler alert, it's going to cost quite a bit. So we'll break down whether or not that's a realistic option for either the Raiders or the Eagles to get exactly what they want for those star players. And on the Raiders front, it was a big article by Michael Silver. Shout out to Michael Silver. He's been a guest on the Maggie and Perloff show. I know he's friends with Maggie and Perloff. He had a whole big kind of spiel on The Athletic about the Raiders' sense of kind of chaos. Like, if you're one of those Raider fans, sorry mama. My mom's a big Raiders fan. Apologies. Not going to want to hear this. Sounds like it's still a chaotic situation. Seems like things aren't going quite well there yet, even though they have been gifted with the #1 overall pick in Fernando Mendoza. And he paints a picture that points directly to Tom Brady as being one of the reasons why things aren't as copacetic in Vegas as they would hope. So we'll break all that down when we talk about the Max Crosby situation in Vegas a little bit later. We'll also talk about Jayson Tatum's impending return, and I think has been some interesting commentary about Jayson Tatum. I am a Knicks fan, so I don't got love for the Celtics from my fan standpoint, but as a basketball observer, I can respect the Boston Celtics organization being one of the best organizations in the NBA. I certainly can respect Jayson Tatum being one of the best players in the NBA. And I can't allow people to just get on a microphone and lie. And I feel like we are seeing some lying happening. I feel like we're seeing some revisionist history happening. I don't want to be in the position to have to defend the Boston Celtics, but I feel like I have to do that today when we talk about Jayson Tatum a little bit later, because make no mistake about it, he is an absolute superstar, and he is a great player. And the idea that he's going to be playing second fiddle to anybody is ludicrous. And I think we're also forgetting that he has already shown that when he has been asked to take a back seat, he doesn't take it so well. So I am very excited to talk about the Jayson Tatum conversation. That's going to come up in just a few minutes as well. So we got a lot to get to, man. We'll also talk about the Lanterns trailer that HBO Max unveiled. That is going to be the next iteration coming up from DC from the television standpoint. DC Studios led by James Gunn, who is still there. I know we did a big story yesterday talking about how, I'm looking at, there's a new Adam Schefter drop. But nothing small, just it's a small thing. Shy Tittle reaches a 1-year extension. I don't need this update from Adam Schefter. This is the time of the year now. When I get the Schefter update, I gotta look at my watch or look at my phone, make sure it's not something crazy. As I'm doing live shows, don't want to be caught like I got caught last week, where Jermaine Johnson gets traded during the show, and I don't even know because I'm not checking my phone or checking Twitter. So I didn't want to get caught slipping there, but that was definitely a big red herring. No, but we're going to talk about the Lanterns trailer as well, which drops from DC. Again, that's going to be the next iteration of a DC television series in the DCU universe being created by James Gunn. James Gunn is still there. I know we did a story yesterday about maybe him not wanting to work with Henry Ellison, the head of Paramount, after Paramount bought Warner Brothers Discovery, and that merger is now impending and will take place probably within the next year or so. We talked about James Gunn maybe leaving, and that would be a sad day, I think, for a lot of comic book fans and a lot of superhero fans. But he is there for now, and Lanterns is still happening, and we'll talk about this trailer. People don't seem to love this trailer, and I get why. So we'll break that down a little bit later. 40 days, 40 nights with your boy EJ Stewart. Streaming live multiple spots, including live on YouTube, New Generation Media. If you're watching me on YouTube, first of all, what's up? Love to see you guys. Thanks for rocking with me yet again for another night. And make sure if you're there, subscribe to the channel, New Generation Media. Hit me up in the comment section. Say what's up. Love to hear you guys. Love to hear you guys' voices. Get your thoughts on today's show. Also streaming live on X, EJ_Stewart. Make sure you follow me on X. You can also highlight me there on X. I also see comments from X as well. So if you want to reach out on X, make sure you get in the comment section on the video in the X feed where this video is streaming live. And of course, we're streaming live on Instagram. Actually, we're not streaming on Instagram because I didn't hit the button, I don't think. Did I hit the button? Let's see. I did not hit the button. We're going to be streaming live in 3, 2, 1. Bam. We're streaming live on Instagram. Action EJ is where you find me on Instagram. Shout outs to the Instagram audience. I am live now. So we're streaming live multiple spots. Instagram Live, X, and YouTube. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, Action EJ, X EJ_Stewart, and subscribe to the channel. I mentioned Maggie and Perloff, and I think I could feel safe to say this today because I literally was on the phone with one of them and just was texting with them right before this show started. Because there was an iteration of the show where Maggie actually was going to come on the show. That is not happening, but I have better news. So we had Big Friendly on, not on the show, but he was in the comment section being like, I miss you guys. I missed the whole shebang where everybody showed up. That was a little disappointing. I ain't going to hold you. That was a little disappointing. Technology didn't allow that to work the way the technology has typically worked for me for interviews. Clearly, I tried to use too many guests at once, and that was a poor idea. But I got good news. We're going to get at least half the team back. It won't be Manny, it won't be Bogusch, but we've seen those guys on the show. Manny's come on a couple of times because he had a snafu earlier. And we've had Bogusch on, obviously, and he did a great job when he came on. And we eventually had Manny back on and do a show. Maggie did a show, Pearl did a show. We're going to bring Maggie and Perloff together for the final night of 40 Days and 40 Nights. So for those who miss us coming together on Monday and we're sad about it, those who watched us come together on Monday and were frustrated by the technical difficulties, we will have a mulligan. There will be a new version of a Maggie and Pearl appearance on 40 Days and 40 Nights, and that's going to be with them together Friday night. So of course we have Kendall Fridays. Kendall will be on the show per usual, but there will be a segment in the show that will be dedicated to Maggie and Perloff on the final day of 40 Days and 40 Nights. So I'm very, very excited about that. I don't think we'll have issues with any technical issues. I know I've done 2 guests before, so I think 2 guests will be a lot easier than 4 guests. So I think that will be okay. I don't think they'll have any issues. Some of the issues that I also think may have caused what happened won't be a problem this time around. So I'm very confident that that's going to go on smoothly, and I am really, really excited about that. That's going to be the last night of 40 Days and 40 Nights. Can't believe that after today we'll have just 4 shows left, but that is how it goes. And again, this is not going to be the last you hear of your boy EJ. Certainly won't be the last you hear of Maggie and Perloff, obviously, as well. But and there will be something coming down, and I mentioned that interesting phone call I had yesterday that I will put to bed, and I won't mention anymore until there's something to actually announce about it. But I had an interesting phone call yesterday that leaves me excited about what may be coming soon for your boy and to you, the New Generation audience, the EJ Stewart audience, the Wheelios and Coffee Drinker audience, the WFAN audience. I'll say again, the WFAN audience. I feel really confident about what may be coming up, and I'm really excited about that. 40 Days, 40 Nights, though, still persists with your boy EJ Stewart. We're going to get it going here. Let's begin with what I think was a little bit of a stunner. And I feel like it's one of those things where sometimes, I know it wasn't happening, and I'm not going to give myself that much credit, but it's like, man, was Les Need watching this live stream? I had this whole conversation with our lovely friend, Big Friendly, who was talking about the Rams, and we were talking about Cliff Kingsbury and his additions to coaching staff. By the way, there were some changes to the coaching staff, too. Nate Shieldhouse now becomes the offensive coordinator. He gets promoted after they lost Mike LaFleur. I always forget their names. The fact that their names are so similar always makes me pause. I don't want to say the wrong guy. Mike LaFleur, who was not the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. Of course, his brother is Matt LaFleur. He was the offensive coordinator of the Rams last year. He moves on to Arizona. Nate Shieldhouse, who was one of these young guys that was getting a lot of attention during the head coaching searches this past offseason. He didn't get any jobs. I don't know how close he ever got, but he was a guy no one ever heard of until it felt like a month ago, 2 months ago. And then everybody was talking about him. And then maybe it was much to do about nothing, but he was in the coaching circles, and Sean McVay thinks very highly of him. So there was a coaching change in terms of the rest of the staff. Cliff Kingsbury, of course, is the assistant head coach. But the offensive coaching staff had some adjustments. They then also made this massive move to acquire Chiefs All-Pro corner Trent McDuffie. So going to KC is this year's 29th pick in the draft and other draft compensation. Trent McDuffie is, again, an All-Pro caliber corner. He's been, in my opinion, one of the absolute best defensive players in the NFL. I think he's been one of the most underrated players in the NFL. There are some guys that don't get their name talked about much. We don't really talk about them in commercials or marketability or anything like that, and they just go about their business and just do their job and win championships. That is what Trent McDuffie has done. I'm a little stunned that the Chiefs got to this point where they felt like they couldn't pay Trent McDuffie, and that's really what this comes down to. Trent McDuffie is going to be up for a big contract. He is, again, one of the best corners in the NFL. I think saying he's a top 5 corner, I don't think is outrageous at all. He is so good. And they got all this money tied up to a bunch of other guys. Chiefs got to cut some salary somewhere, and they couldn't afford to give McDuffie this huge deal, so they let him go. This is the same Chiefs team that also let L'Jarius Sneed go also. Remember, he was traded to the Titans because they didn't want to pay him. So KC perhaps making a judgment that they feel like they can survive with their pass rush and their front seven without having a top-notch corner. But, man, I think this is a huge coup for the Rams, who I said earlier in the show, we were talking about offense and Cliff Kingsbury's impact on the offense and what role he's going to have. I was like, forget about the offense. What happens to your defense? I kept hearing how great the Rams defense was, and I thought they were kind of terrible throughout the entire playoffs. They were terrible against the Panthers. They played pretty good against the Bears for 3 quarters in a snowstorm. But then it seemed like Caleb Williams turned into John Elway at the end of the game and almost stole that one. And then Sam Darnold and the Seahawks offense did whatever they wanted to the Rams in that NFC Championship game. And Chris Shula was a guy who was talked about for potential NFL head coaching jobs. I don't think it was an accident that those conversations ended after the season ended and you didn't hear him coming close to getting any of these jobs. Because the Rams defense looked like it stunk. And it could have been a personnel issue. Rams fans know and LA fans know they have had issues in their secondary. They've kind of gotten by taking flyers on late draft picks and giving them opportunities and 3rd and 4th round guys and letting them play. And they've, for the most part, played above their skis. And you can afford to give those kind of guys opportunities when you have the front seven that they have and the pass rush that they have. When you have Verse, when you have Young, when you have that consistent pressure, you're not asking your corners to be left on an island for much long when you're playing against that defense. But it just seemed like, I don't know if the pass rush wasn't getting there. I don't know what happened, but their defense just seemed to fall apart during the playoffs. So corner was absolutely going to be a big need. We watched Jackson Smith and Jigba destroy them essentially every time they played the Rams this year. And now you got Trent McDuffie. And I saw this trade, I immediately thought, there's your JSN stopper. At least that's what they're going to hope he's going to be. And it's a win. It's a win now move, and a move that makes sense. The Rams are in a position of strength. They have 2 first-round picks. Remember, they got that pick from the Atlanta Falcons in the first round. So they're not in a position where they need to feel like, okay, we give up our first-round pick, now we won't have a pick in the first round. We got to wait till the second round to get our young rookie. No, they're going to have a pick already in this draft. So they got their first-round pick at 29. You got to make the calculation. Yes, you're going to have to pay Trent McDuffie. But I know Trent McDuffie, I think, was drafted at 30, ironically. But what are the chances that the guy you draft at 29 for a team that's a win-now team is going to be good as Trent McDuffie is next year? It's not impossible, but chances are very low. I don't know, 20%, 15%? Maybe that's high. This guy's awesome. And there are awesome rookies that will come in even as a 30th pick and be great. Again, you can find a very good player even at 29. But I'm just saying, like, the odds of you getting that kind of caliber player at that price, at that pick rather, It's very unlikely. And the Rams have a very short window with Matthew Stafford. It feels like we're on a year-to-year thing with Matthew Stafford in terms of when he's going to retire. And also when his body may give out. Forget about retirement. The game may retire him. He has had this back issue. He had to take the epidurals through training camp just to survive training camp. I don't know what this guy could be next year. I'm expecting him to show up to camp and have some kind of issue. He seems to have one every year. He goes out there and then balls and it shows and throws lasers everywhere and no look passes. And I still like one of the biggest respects I think I've seen for a quarterback. And I know this 40 days and 40 nights has probably felt like a Matthew Stafford love affair. I'm sorry, man. Like, it's rare I feel about a way about a guy as an athlete and then realize I'm dead wrong. Like, I really thought Matthew Stafford was just like a stat merchant for most of his career with the Lions where they won nothing. And he went to the Rams. And he was good with the Rams initially, but somehow he's gotten better. Like, last year was phenomenal. I don't know how he was in a tight race with Drake May for MVP. And I'm saying that before the Super Bowl. I don't even care about the Super Bowl. That shouldn't have been close. He was obviously the best player in the NFL. And so it feels like a love affair with Matthew Stafford, but I don't care, man. I watched that mic'd up segment during the Super Bowl, and you had Julian Love comparing, Drake May to Matthew Stafford and how he knew a pick was coming because he's like, listen, every time he steps on that back foot, he's going to take a hitch and look where he's going before he throws that ball because he's nervous. It's not like he said, these were his last words, it's not like Matthew Stafford where he's just hitting that back foot, not even looking, and just flinging the ball everywhere. And I'm thinking as a defender, that's got to be terrifying. Like, you're a safety, and, like, you're thinking, I can read his eyes. I can read a thing. Like, this guy's dropping back and just firing the ball. And he has one of the strongest arms, if not the strongest arm in the NFL, at 100 miles an hour to receivers that are running wild left and right. You got Devontae Adams. You got Puka Nacua. Like, that had to be terrifying to guard him and to defend that team. So you have a quarterback that is playing at that level, but because of his age, the time of him playing that level is going to be very limited. Who's to say he even plays that well next year? That's just the reality. You got to make win now moves now. And I think that considering they fleeced the Falcons by making that trade, where the Falcons wanted to get James Pierce really badly and they needed to get additions to that pass rush, so they didn't want to just take Jalen Walker. They also wanted to take James Pierce. And look, James Pierce looked like a stud. Now there's the domestic case he's dealing with that puts a huge damper on that pick. The Rams are sitting here like, oh man, we essentially traded James Pierce, a pick that was James Pierce last year, for who is now Trent McDuffie. I mean, come on, that's a masterclass. Awesome stuff by the Rams. You gotta be really excited if you're a Rams fan. If you're a Seahawks fan, I mean, you're defending the title. You're probably looking at this saying, okay, here we go. I don't know if you've come down on your Super Bowl high just yet, but if you're actually looking forward to next season, you're thinking about what a repeat's going to look like, and you see Trent McDuffie enter your division with the number one team that is probably your number one rival and your opposition in terms of getting to another Super Bowl, you're like, all right, here we go, NFL season, baby. There's no resting on your laurels, man. This is going to be good stuff. I can't wait to see these teams match up again. I thought their matchups last year were all classics, and adding Trent McDuffie to this rivalry just makes things better. On the Chiefs side, it's early, so I don't want to go crazy. Feels like a gap year to you guys? Feels kind of like a gap year to me. You get 29th pick in the draft. Okay, so now you got 2 first-round picks. That's good. And that will help them. And in theory, maybe you could trade those picks for other players, but you can't trade him for a guy you got to pay because they couldn't pay Trent McDuffie. So I assume they're going to draft these guys, these players that are going to be their first-round picks. They're going to take these guys. I want to see if I can get their draft order real quick so to make sure I know exactly where they are. Obviously, at 29. I don't remember what the other pick is. But you got the 29th pick. You have some pick in the teens, I assume. They're drafting... 9. Wow, they're worse than I remember. They're drafting 9. That's a pretty good spot. So you got 9 and you got 29. There's some flexibility there. You could move back from 9 if you don't like the guy you want, and you still have the pick from before. There's a lot of flexibility for the Chiefs in this upcoming draft because of this move. So I get why they did it from that standpoint. If you couldn't pay Trent McDuffie, but I also think the reality is Broncos are a really good team, and I don't think that they're a one-year wonder. Though I'll hold on a real opinion on whether or not they make the playoffs. As we get closer to the start of the regular season, and of course we see what the hell happens in this offseason. I am kind of becoming bullish on the Chargers, and that kind of scares me because I haven't been the biggest supporter of If Man, aka Justin Herbert, and I think the Jim Harbaugh stuff, I'm not, like, he's a good coach. He's a good coach. I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's Vince Lombardi, but he is a very good coach. But we haven't really seen the Chargers change in any real way since he came over. Like, I know they were kind of in the dumps, but that's what happened. We have Brandon Staley. But what have the Chargers gone back to doing since he got there? They've essentially gone back to being the same old Chargers. They were, like, worse than the same old Chargers under Brandon Staley. They were, like, a different level of, like, incompetent. So Harbaugh has come to the team, and he has brought stability, and they're playing more consistently. And they've shown a way to battle through some more adversity during the regular season for sure. They battled through a ton of injuries. But then we see them in the playoffs, and they fall apart, which is what the Chargers always do. So it's like, what has really changed there? So I don't want to act like these teams are world beaters, but they're very good. They're very good. And I don't think they're going anywhere. And they're young. So I think the Chargers are still going to be an issue. I think the Broncos are still going to be an issue. Chiefs may look at a weaker schedule and say, weaker schedule, maybe we could afford to lose a guy like this if we don't think we can afford to pay him, and we can bring along some rookies. In the DB class, that's pretty deep towards the late first round. Like, that's kind of where your DBs are. So I assume that they're going to get their replacement for Trent McDuffie with that 29th pick in the draft. But I look at the Chiefs, though, and I kind of wonder, maybe we're looking at a gap year, man. Which makes me wonder why the hell Travis Kelce wants to come back. You lose Trent McDuffie. I saw, Patrick Mahomes tweeted just damn with a period mark. So he let his presence felt that he wasn't too pleased with the fact that they made this move, which you're losing a great player. I get that. So for the Chiefs, man, I just thought that, Chiefs 2.0, they're going to take this bad year that they have, they'll come back strong, and despite Patrick Mahomes' ACL injury, they'll make these big moves this offseason. I don't know. Now, there's always the possibility that you can make some more moves, and maybe this is their precursor because they don't want to pay Trent, that they'll pay a wide receiver or pay someone else that we're not anticipating. Did they cut Juwan Taylor, so that's money to come off the books? But we'll have to see. They have extra draft capital now, so that certainly could help them in any kind of move. But right now, I kind of wonder if the Chiefs are looking at a gap year when you make a move like this. A guy who is a obvious impact player. I don't think he's the kind of guy you just lose and say, we can figure it out. I don't think so. I think they play in a division where they don't really see, Cortland Sutton's pretty good. I don't think he's a superstar. They don't see a monster wide receiver in their division. So in theory, maybe they're like, we're not in a position to act like we're defending Super Bowl champions or Super Bowl contenders. So should we really be valuing a shutdown corner playing in a division where there is no top 10 receiver? And that's a good question. It's a interesting assessment. But all those things, again, read to me, I'm looking at a team that may be in a gap year kind of situation if you look at Kansas City next year. Stunning move. Really stunned to see this move happen. Trent McDuffie getting traded. I think a great move for the Rams. I won't call it a bad move for the Chiefs because you can't afford them. You can't afford them. But it does make me wonder if there's hope that the Chiefs will get right back to being the Chiefs Kingdom dynastic kind of squad that they've been for the last 5 years. This makes me take a step back and say we might have to have much lower expectations for the Chiefs upcoming next year. Let's stay in the West. One of my favorite divisions. I love the AFC West, probably because my mom loves the Rams. So the Raiders. So probably that reason I know the rivalries well and I know the history well. I love talking about these teams. Let's talk about the Raiders. So Michael Silver, I said from The Athletic, wrote his article. One of the biggest open secrets was that Max Crosby is done with the Las Vegas Raiders. He wants out. The issue that happened with him towards the end of the year when they were about to play the New York Giants, and he was fully expecting to play the rest of the season, and they called him in the office and said, hey man, you're not playing this week. In fact, you're not playing the rest of the year. We're shutting you down. And he did not take it well. And he didn't take it well. We learned he didn't take it well because we got a TikTok of everything that was happening in the Raider facility while it was happening, which was, again, between that and Jim Schwartz's losing the job of head coach to Todd Monken. Two things that I don't know why we know the TikTok of everything that was happening while it was happening, but it's the Raiders and the Browns. Maybe that should be all you need to know. But we knew this was happening because you had like the Jay Glazers all being like, "Yep, Max Crosby just got told that he is not playing this week, and he is mad. He's telling people he's mad, and he just left the building." I'm like, is there a camera crew out there? Like, are we going to get a live shot from Max Crosby soon? Is he going to come in and do an IG live? What's going on here? So we knew he was unhappy. He went on social media to show that he was not as injured as they said he was. He was like shooting basketballs in his what looked like really cool Vegas mansion to be like, "Hey, I'm fine. Look at me shoot this turnaround fadeaway." So he was unhappy. The Raiders are in a bad spot. I had made the case that I thought that if I was the Raiders, I would actually maybe consider keeping him just because it's such a toxic team and a toxic organization. I know he's been there for it, but if I'm, Clint Kubiak and I'm coming in wanting to set a tone and set an identity, he feels like the kind of guy that can help me do that. Especially when I'm coming in with a rookie quarterback who I can't expect to be my leader. It's just not realistic. So I thought keeping Max Crosby around, even for one more year, I thought made more sense. He's under contract. It actually will probably make it easier to move him next year because then you don't have all this guaranteed money that he still has left on his deal. So actually, the flip side, maybe they have to pay him. So who knows? But anyway, I thought it just made more sense to keep him for one more year from that standpoint. If I was Kubiak, though, I understood the capital you can get for him to rebuild now. If you're ready for that, and the Raiders are actually committed to that, which I really want to know they are, because they've talked about how we want to win now. We're not about rebuilding. Tom Brady said we're not about rebuilding. Like, I hope he's gotten that crap out of his head. Like, that was stupid. This is a terrible team. This is a team that has to start from scratch. You have Brock Bowers and Ashton Jeanty and nothing else. So you shouldn't be holding on to anything on this roster. Max Crosby would have been the only guy to have any kind of credence and any kind of, affinity to. But he wants out, and he seems to be willing to make it uncomfortable, though he's trying to be respectful because apparently, according to Michael Silver, like I said, he legitimately loves Las Vegas. He legitimately loves the Raider organization, and he just does not want to make it a huge, huge thing. But while Michael did everything except write in the article that he's requested a trade, again, read between the lines. He definitely requested a trade. That's definitely what happened. So on the Crosby front, apparently they're looking for essentially what the Cowboys got for Micah Parsons. That was not a cheap price. That was 2 first-round picks, and that was a Pro Bowl caliber player in Kenny Clark. As Silver points out, which I would agree, I don't know, Crosby being 3 years older, coming off a torn meniscus, is going to be worth what a healthy Micah Parsons, who's 26-year-old, is worth. For us player, I think they're about the same. If you want to push, if you made me push and put a gun to my head and said who is the better player, you can't just say they're the same. I might lean Micah Parsons because he's a little more versatile, whereas Crosby is a pure defensive end type edge rusher. Well, Parsons, he plays a lot on the edge, but I could line him up anywhere. So maybe I lean Parsons really only because of that. But they're both great. I think Max Crosby is awesome. That guy plays with so much effort. You want to talk about a guy that just makes sure the tank's on E by the time the game's over. I feel like that's how I feel when I watch Max Crosby play. And he's one of my favorite guys to watch in the league. So he's a stud, but he's older and he's coming off a knee injury. So I don't know if you're giving up 2 first-round picks for him. Now, will somebody do it? Silver thinks that there's somebody that will give up that price so that they'll be fine. It is a steep price, which is what he acknowledges, but he thinks somebody's going to give it up. So immediate thought is, who is a team that is aggressive enough to want to trade from Max Crosby and potentially give up at least 1, maybe 2 first-round picks? I think Philly is always going to be a team you think about when you see any kind of star on the market potentially, and a pass rusher for sure. There was word that they would have been interested in Micah Parsons had the Cowboys picked up the phone, but the Cowboys basically told him to go to hell, which I understand. So I think Philly is someone that you would consider, especially if they end up trading A.J. Brown and they end up getting a first-round pick. We'll get to Brown in a little bit. If you trade Brown, you get a first-round pick back, that can make that expendable, and then you could, flip that. I almost wonder if you try to get cute with the Raiders and say, hey, do you want A.J. Brown? And give us one first round pick and we call it a day. It's something I would think about and at least consider. But Philly, I think, is a team that I would look at. I think the Bears are a team. That's a team I'm kind of circling as a team that I think makes the most sense for Max Crosby. They are I think they're right on the cusp. Like, they've had enough of we're a young, up-and-coming team kind of vibes. This year, they got their first real taste of winning, of playing in the playoffs, of playoff football, of that excitement, and, the aura of what that Rams-Bears game was, with the snow coming down and Caleb going crazy in the fourth quarter and Stafford being Stafford. I mean, that was awesome. And I know Bears fans are like, this is what we've been asking for all these years, and we're so close. Now we got to get to that next step. But the one thing they've lacked is they just had zero pass rush. And I thought their secondary was okay. I thought their secondary did a pretty good job to try to make up for the fact that they were left on an island a lot by a pass rush that could not get to the quarterback. Imagine, you want to talk about aura, imagine Max Crosby playing in that game with the snow behind him and the tattoos and stuff. Oh, man, I'm getting chills thinking about that. So I like Max Crosby to fit with the Bears. I think for the NFC, that's the team I would circle as a team I think that would be very interested. If you're the Bears, you got to make that happen. And I think it makes sense for both sides. I think that the Bears, 2 firsts is a lot, but what other desperate need do the Bears have right now that they have to address as a first round pick from either this year or next year's draft? You have your quarterback, you got your receivers, you have a awesome tight end. The line is, but it got better this year. It was fine. In theory, if you want to improve the line depth, you can do that, I think, in the second round with the guys they have currently. Defense, again, your corners are pretty good. You got pretty good safeties. You may lose Tremaine Edmonds, but overall, the back line is fine. Maybe the one thing you say, well, we need to get a pass rusher. All right, well, again, with the pick that you have in the first round, what are the odds that guy's going to be good as Max Crosby next year? I would say the odds are pretty low. So I found the Bears, man. I'm picking up that phone and making that call. I think that they would be an awesome fit. But I think the Bears, I think the Cowboys, I think the Eagles, I'm circling these NFC teams. Those are the teams I think you would have to say that they're going to be the teams to look at. I always wonder about the Lions. I know they got no money, essentially. But Brad Holmes, their general manager, is always he said publicly, if there's any pass rusher that is available, we will always consider them because we see that as a super premium position. And the idea of putting, you want to talk about exciting whites, like we have in with the guys in Philadelphia, you put Max Crosby and Aiden Hutchinson on opposite edges. That's scary hours for any defense or offense that has to try to block those guys. But I don't know if they can afford them. But I think the Bears and the two NFC East teams, the Eagles and the Cowboys, will be interested. I mean, the Commanders are an interesting team too. I mean, they also don't have the greatest pass rush. Dan Quinn is desperately trying to fix that defense because he's on the hot seat. I think they're a team to consider too. They're definitely, I think everybody besides the Giants in the NFC East, I think is definitely going to be a team to watch for this because they also have money. They got $40 million in cap space. So of these teams that we're talking about right now, they're probably the one team that can absorb his contract without having to do a lot of maneuvering of the roster. Like all those teams I talked about would have to do some maneuvering, but trust me, they'd make it happen for Max Crosby. I don't think that the Commanders would have to do that. So those would be the teams I look at. Now, the Commanders are probably the team that's furthest away from competing, but maybe you could pitch to Max, hey, listen, I know we've also been kind of a clown show organization. We've kind of been Raiders East, if you talk about the scandal and the issues that we've had. But, like, we have a superstar young quarterback who got hurt last year, but he's going to be fine. And, we didn't get to really see the team that we expected come to fruition because we just had so many injuries. We just came up from playing in the NFC Championship game. We definitely are a contender, so give us a shot. And Dan Quinn being a defensive coach, I can see him making the pitch to Max Crosby and them being aggressive and saying, you know what, let's make this move. Those would be the teams I think the Bears and the Commanders, I think, will probably be the teams that I think make the most sense for Max Crosby. The other flip side to this that I think is important to talk about is one of the things that was also noted in this article from Michael Silver was not just that Max Crosby was fed up with the losing. The hysteria, the clown show, the chaos, all the things that happened with the Raiders. That all that has turned him off. The other thing that has turned him off, along with other Raiders personnel, according to Michael Silver, has been the presence of Alex Guerrero. You are probably saying, unless you know a lot about Tom Brady or know a lot about the Patriots, or maybe you know enough about football where you've heard his name before. Otherwise, you're probably saying, "Who the hell is that guy?" to quote Conor McGregor. Alex Guerrero is for lack of a better term, a health fitness guru. He got linked up with Tom Brady. He kind of became Tom Brady's personal trainer, guru. I don't want to say borderline like life coach. It went beyond just even football. And he is very, very close to Tom Brady. So much so that it caused a rift when Tom Brady was with the Patriots towards the end. And one of the rifts between Brady and Belichick was reportedly Alex Guerrero's presence. Because Brady, being the GOAT, and feeling like he thought he had carte blanche, wanted Alex Guerrero around on the staff, working with him, working intimately with everything the Patriots were doing so that he could prepare in the correct ways, because he trusted this man. How do you think that went with Bill Belichick? Do I have to tell you the rest of the story? You know how the rest of the story goes. It's Bill Belichick. Oh yeah, Bill Belichick's going to want some outsider to come in and have intimate knowledge of what's going on with the Patriots and perhaps adjust or shift things from what Belichick likes to how Alex Guerrero and Tom Brady want things to be run. You think that went well with Bill Belichick? Come on. I don't even got to say the rest of the story. So the story went how it went, right? That went as good as you could expect, which is terrible. And eventually, we get conflicting reports of like, was that the straw that broke the camel's back? Who knows? But that didn't help. And eventually Brady left. And Guerrero went with him to Tampa and they won a Super Bowl or whatever. And then that kind of thought maybe that was it. Well, all the stuff you talk about, the TB12 method, the weird diet, the avocado ice cream, all those weird things you talk about, all that stuff comes from Alex Guerrero. And what I actually didn't know until this article was that Alex Guerrero has been involved deeply with what's been going on with the operations of the Las Vegas Raiders. I had no clue about this. It makes sense. I'm like, oh yeah, it makes sense. Brady's running a team. He'd want this guy in charge, I guess. This is like if Rich Paul was running a team that LeBron James was owning, right? Like in theory, that would make sense that he'd want the guy that he worked with to be part of the process of building this team up. And Alex Guerrero's been a part of this team, and they can't stand this brother. They can't stand this dude. And I want to read this report from The Athletic that highlights just how tense things have been. So, like many players and coaches, Crosby was frustrated by the presence of Alex Guerrero, a staunch Brady ally whose official title is Wellness Coordinator. Guerrero, who regularly attends practice and meetings, purports to possess significant organizational power, informing players of impending transactions and even indicating to staff members who don't follow his instructions that their jobs may be at risk. Guerrero is perceived to have a direct pipeline to Brady, who lives in Florida and serves as Fox's leading NFL analyst, limiting his in-person presence. Suffice to say, there are trust issues permeating the Raiders' training facility in Henderson, Nevada. That's not good. That's not good. You don't like to hear that if you're a Raider fan. I mean, you've heard this kind of stuff all the time, so it's not like it's new. But I think there was hope that when Tom Brady came in, the circus ended. And that there would be a level of professionalism, a level of communication that would be improved, that this was going to be an organization in a tight ship where everybody was going in the right direction and everyone knew what the plan was. And now you're getting confirmation that that's not the case. You got people who are running the team who see this guy as actually a proxy to Brady, who can't be there because he's too busy doing his other job that makes him $300 million. I think that's what he made, right? That Top Fox deal, I think it was something like that. Like, he's doing that other job. So he's living in Florida. He's preparing for games. He can't be there, but he's using this guy to be his proxy. And he is trying to change how the Raiders are running things day to day. He is threatening to fire people who don't listen to how he wants things run. And the perception is that this is a guy who is working at the behest of Tom Brady, who's not there to give his own damn instructions about how things should be run and what should be going on. This is terrible. This is not going to work. Like, Bob Custer is in the chat in Nevada. You came in at the right time. I want to hear what you guys say about this. I'm done with Tom Brady Raiders. This is over. There's no chance that this is going to work out. You cannot have a proxy football operations person who where you have a general manager who you've hired to run football operations potentially being undermined by this other guy who maybe is the real guy in charge. Like, who is in charge of the Raiders? Someone tell me who is running the Las Vegas Raiders. Who is running the Las Vegas Raiders? Is it Tom Brady? Is it John Spytek? I cannot believe I'm even asking this. Is it Alex Guerrero? Do you know? I don't think anybody knows at this point. I don't think anybody has any clue. Tom Brady's calling football games. Spytek is the general manager in name, so I assume he's running the show. But his first hire was Pete Carroll, and the guy got fired after 1 year. The first quarterback he brought in was Geno Smith. Geno Smith is going to be on the, he's going to be in a pig slip in a couple of weeks, if he hasn't already. I mean, Spytek's already been a disaster. But is it his fault? Do I blame Tom Brady? Do I blame Alex Guerrero? That's the thing I hate about this. And I said this months ago. If Tom Brady wanted to run an NFL team, he should have stood up, went to a team, said, I want to run an NFL team, and took on the title. As he could have still been a minority owner. That's fine. He wanted to make his money. Make your money. I'm cool with that. He should have took on a title as president of football operations, or vice president of football operations, or something. He should have a real title. Like, he gets cover by doing that Fox job. He gets cover by not having like an official title other than minority owner. And yet, he is sending this goon to go over to the Las Vegas Raiders, who we have no idea if he knows anything about how to run an NFL team. He knows how to train Tom Brady, and he did a phenomenal job of that. I don't know if this guy knows how to run an NFL football team. And he also doesn't have a real, big title with the team, so nobody even knows to even think to him to be someone to answer for the Raiders' failures until today. All of this gives Tom Brady cover for what we are seeing in Las Vegas, which is a dumpster fire, which is a laughingstock, which is a loser. That's what the Raiders are before Brady got there, and that's what they've still been since Brady got there. They're losers. But Tom Brady not taking the onus of saying, I'm running the show, I'm the president of football operations, the buck stops with me. We don't know where the buck stops. We don't know where the buck stops. Does it stop with Alex Guerrero? Does it stop with Spytek? We don't freaking know. So all the nonsense that we're seeing, there are other people that are fall guys. Geno Smith's a fall guy. Pete Carroll's a fall guy. Eventually, because Spytek has the title of general manager, he could be a fall guy. But if Tom Brady has his fitness guru threatening people that they'll be fired if they don't listen to his instructions on how to run the NFL team, and Tom Brady has no say or no title, he has this facade as if he's not the guy pulling the puppet strings on this disaster, then he's able to go around, laugh and joke and go to the next white party with Michael Rubin and go to the next roast and ha and call the football games and be Mr. Tom Brady, be Mr. Bruce Wayne. Wow, anybody else should be able to say, hey, listen, you need to be called to account for what we just did last year. You said we were coming in to win football games. We were the worst freaking team in the NFL. What happened? But when he doesn't take the ownership, no pun intended, of actually having a football operations role and running the team and being there and being accountable, it gives him cover. And I think that is lame. I think that is weak. And it's not going to work for the Raiders. Tom Brady, could he be a good president of football operations, a good football operations man? Maybe. We've seen great players who are great at it. We've seen great players that are terrible at it. Ozzie Newsome was awesome. John Lynch is awesome. Like it's not like basketball where if you're a great basketball player, unless you're Jerry West, you're probably terrible running a team, and you probably also terrible being a head coach. Not always, but sometimes you are. Not the case with football. Football, you can be a great player and then also be a good executive. That's possible. You can't do it doing this 1 foot in, 1 foot out thing. This feels like Magic Johnson running the Lakers. This feels exactly like that. But worse, at least Magic took the title of being president. And guess what? He had to be called to account for the things that went wrong. And then when he had to quit his job, he had to then be held accountable and face criticism for quitting on the team. But I respect Magic for that, because at least he stepped into the arena. He didn't say, I'm a minority owner and I have this general manager and they do all the stuff. Meanwhile, he's got some minion running around the organization telling guys that they're going to be fired if they don't listen to him. I thought they would be fired if they don't listen to John Spytek or Mark Davis. I thought they were running the show. Why are they listening to this guy? What the hell does this guy know? He's not a football player. He's not a football man. He's a fitness guru. I mean, I think that is highly concerning if you're a Raider fan. Highly, highly, highly concerning. And I will keep saying it. Shame on Tom Brady for not stepping up to the plate in a real way. This is not running an NFL team. Staying in Florida, calling football games, and having this guy running around like he's somebody, telling people what to do and threatening to fire them if they don't listen to him. That's not running an NFL team. Like, I don't know. Like, I just feel like the way Brady is, like, it's his public face, so I can't speak to what he's like behind the scenes. But this public face that he's put on, I was into it initially. It's starting to grate on me, man. Like, I was excited to have Brady part of the mix. I'm a Jets fan, so he killed me every time. But I don't know. I don't have that same. I don't like him as sort of like a football guy. But I was interested in having him around as like a guy to talk football and be a part of the world, because when you play on the Patriots, like, you're all wet napkins. So, like, at least we get to know what Tom Brady's personality is like a little bit. And initially, when other people were annoyed, I was like, oh, no, I like him. Like, oh, play is okay. He's going to get better. But I don't think he was as bad as people thought he was initially. And he's gotten a lot better. I think he's actually really good at the color analyst thing now. But, like, I was into it initially. But, like, I don't know. This, like, it's like he wants to be this, like, you know what vibes he's giving me? Fake mogul. That's the vibes he's getting. He wants to be like, and to me, like, somebody who wants to be a mogul is like automatically insufferable. Like, I'm sorry. If you say, what do you want to be? I want to be a mogul. I'm out. Sorry. You may be a great person. You may be good friends. You may have a great family life and stuff. And I hope all the best to you. You know, pay your taxes and don't take advantage of people. But otherwise, do you. I'm out, though. I'm out on that kind of person. I think there's you got to be a phony to be that kind of person. I think you got to step on a lot of people to be that kind of person. I think this person that's trying to amass an empire, like, whenever you're even thinking in that mindset, I'm already out. I think there's scammer energy that comes with that. Brady gives me mogul wannabe energy, and it is the biggest ick. It's the biggest ick. Even this thing he's been doing where he's been going back and forth with, you know, the wrestlers of WWE that I thought was initially real, that he didn't think wrestling was all that good and he didn't like it, and we thought it was actually like a shoot and he just doesn't like wrestling. But then him and Logan Paul now going back and forth, so they're setting up something with Brady and WWE. Oh great, another thing where I gotta see Tom Brady show his face, because again, he's the everyman. He's the everyman that is involved in everything. Because there's a dollar behind it somewhere, and he wants to get that bread. I'm like, oh, enough of this guy, man. You're everywhere and you're nowhere. You're every man and then you're empty at the same time. Like, just be authentic. But I don't think you can be authentic and actually take accountability when you want to be a mogul, which is what he wants to do. And the idea of moguls, like, oh, moguls don't get their hands dirty. They don't go and say, I'm going to be a general manager or a football operation. I'm a mogul. I'm going to sit back. I'm going to say, yo, do this, do that. I'm behind the scenes. I'm actually up in the booth calling the game, or maybe I'm wearing a damn headset. But I'm doing this, and I got my boy, this fitness guru. He's going to be the guy that's actually telling y'all what to do. Even though I have a general manager who I hired and a coach who I've hired who should be the guy running the show. This rando is on the team. And he's the guy that's going to be actually calling the shots. I'm a mogul. I'm looking from a distance. I'm playing chess, not checkers. Like just it makes me want to throw up. Like that all that energy is just I hate that energy, man. And I never would have guessed that would be Tom Brady. That's what's so weird about it. I think of Tom Brady, I think of like, and again, like he's one of those weird guys where I feel like even though he's been a rival, like there's a level of respect that you have to have for him. I think like hard worker, clutch, like competitive, like you know what. Like I have a lot of respect for Tom Brady, the athlete, which is why this Tom Brady, the mogul turn is disgusting to me. I'm like, what is this? If you want to, again, it'd be different if like, I don't know. I just feel like there are other people who have retired and it wasn't like this. Like I guess the last guy who did this kind of thing was Michael Jordan. But Michael Jordan, you know what the difference was? Michael Jordan wasn't in your face every time. Like he just started opening businesses and doing stuff, and you almost would never see him. He wanted to be in the shadow. He wasn't calling basketball games. He wasn't, saying he took, again, another guy. I'm the president of basketball operations. I am going to take accountability for this sorry ass Wizards team. Like he actually was taking accountability and doing the job, while also doing his other businesses and other interests. But he wasn't also like just trying to be in front of every damn camera and in front of every mover and shaker and every influencer. Like, come on, man. I don't know. Tom Brady's got to live his life. I hope he's very happy. I really do. This is just me sitting in my chair in my bedroom just talking. I hope I wish him nothing but the best. But as someone who I didn't enjoy him playing football because he killed my teams, I respected him playing football. So following what his post-football career was going to be from a career standpoint, this has been awful. I'm out, completely out on the Tom Brady mogul. I'll stay on Sundays. I like his commentary. Commentary's cool. He's very good at that. He's gotten very good. Football commentary Sundays, I'll be there. Super Bowls, I'll be there. Playoffs, I'll be there. All this other stuff, Raiders, anything else involved, like get it up, get it away. Keep it away from me as far as possible. Let's go to the chat. Figure you guys had a lot to say after that Tom Brady rant. Trying to read all this stuff. I don't know. It just gives me the ick. It's the best way I can describe it. Everything Tom Brady has done post his career is giving me the ick. Bob Custer in Nevada. Of course, EJ, remember Tom Brady's so legendary. He gets away with a lot. The NFL should have had specific rules. If you're going to work in media, you can't have a part-time job. Yeah, that is why I'm standing 10 toes down on this. Because you could say, and I get this a lot, what's the big deal? Why are you making a big deal out of this? Well, because I'm not a Raiders fan, and maybe I feel away because my mom's a Raiders fan, but like I'm not a Raiders fan, but like damn it, like you have a level of accountability towards a fan base and to a community. Like those people care. Maybe when we sometimes when we talk national news and national media, I don't like when we do the, well, who cares? It's just whatever. Like what difference does it make if the Raiders are bad? Like, well, I know the Raiders have been terrible forever, but they don't want, like the fans don't want them to be terrible forever. The community doesn't want them to be terrible forever. Like, and Tom Brady, like you came in and they accepted you with open arms because they kind of had no choice. Like where else were they going to turn to? Like they've tried everything. So like I want to see him actually take accountability and do the freaking job and not try to be, again, Mr. Mogul. Are you trying to be Mr. Mogul or do you want to be a football man? Decide, please. But yeah, him doing the part-time thing where he's on doing games and he's having this level of influence. Like Grant Hill is he's like a minority owner for the Atlanta Hawks. You wouldn't even know that until I just told you, probably. For some of you, that might be news that you never heard of. He has a stake in the Hawks. I believe Shaq, I don't know if he still does, at one point he had a small stake in the Sacramento Kings. Those guys are analysts. Shaq is on Inside the NBA. Grant Hill is calling NBA and college basketball games, as you've seen. But those guys aren't purporting themselves to be personnel people. They don't have minions in the organization running around, telling Quinn Snyder, hey, do this or you get fired, or telling people, Quinn Snyder's staff, hey, do this or you get fired. You're talking about the Atlanta Hawks. I definitely don't think Shaq, because he didn't have a good relationship with Doug Christie when they played. He was a rival, of course. I don't think Shaq has people running around undermining Doug Christie, the head coach of the Kings. They want the money. They just want to get paid. They just want to be involved. They want to every now and then sit courtside. They want to get the handshakes and be in the same room with people who are in that field. It's a great business model. Cool. I'm totally good with that. I had no problem Brady wanting to do this. But that's not enough for this guy. That's my point. Nothing's enough for this guy. He's got to be in front of every camera. He's got to do every interview. He's got to date every influencer. And I'm not. And you date whoever you want. But I'm just like it's too much. It's like he's everywhere. He's everywhere, but he's also like, again, he's everywhere, but he's empty. So like this thing where he's got this rule where he can do this, it has not affected his broadcasting. His broadcasting, I think, I may be in the minority. I think he has gotten very good. I'm not gonna say great. He's gotten very good at his job. I enjoy when Tom Brady's on a call. The Raider thing, though, to do all this, and we're like, well, how much influence does he have? And he kind of doesn't really say, and people will dispute how much time he's talking. Like this, first it was like, oh, he talks to Chip Kelly every week, a couple of times a week, and then during the week that Pete Carroll's like, oh no, actually he doesn't talk to him that much. That was exaggerated. It's like, well, what? At least the Salters ain't lying. Come on now. We know she knows what she's talking about. She's not going to come in there and say nonsense. Somebody told her that. Probably was Tom Brady or probably was Chip Kelly. And like, again, he's like, and trust me, you know why I hate this? It's not going to happen. But the reason why I hate this is because, I say give you a million reasons. But another reason why I hate this is because what's going to happen is if the Raiders somehow do win, you know who is going to win? Make sure they're front and center in front of the camera, smiling, dancing, like Suge Knight said about Diddy. You know who's going to be front and center to make sure he gets all the credit and all the camera time and gets all the love for the Raiders turnaround. You know this guy's going to be front and center for that. That's why this part of it is annoying. While the team is terrible, while the team looks like a dumpster fire, while they have to trade their franchise player because they're such an embarrassment, and he's nowhere to be found. But he's got this minion running around kicking ass and taking names as if he's some real NFL personnel guy. That's why I'm annoyed by it. Because you know damn well if they were good, he'd be taking all the credit. They've been ass, and he's nowhere to be found. I love sarcasm when I'm all fired up and serious. Spencer Seeks. He's just a common man. Of course, that's a reference to the late great Dusty Rhodes. Yeah, man, I don't know. The Tom Brady thing is just, I just feel like it's run its course. And it's crazy. This is his first year running the team, and I'm already like, I'm done. I can't do it anymore. I saw that Alex Guerrero thing, and I'm like, what? Imagine the Raiders being like, this is too much dysfunction. This is too out of control, even for us. We don't, like, who is this guy? Where did he come from? Like, does he report to Tom Brady? Like, they don't even know. They don't even know. The Raiders, even they're like, this is weird even for us. And don't tell me this is normal. Oh, they should listen to Tom Brady. This is how normal our teams operate. No, they don't. No, they don't. Last thing we'll do in the NFL before we move on. According to Mike Garafolo, Philadelphia Eagles at this point looking for a pretty big trade package in order to shake A.J. Brown loose. For the Eagles, according to Mike Garafolo, they want a Quinnen Williams type package. What that means is they are looking for a first and second round pick from whoever makes a call for A.J. Brown. Which tells me A.J. Brown ain't going nowhere anytime soon, if that is what the price is. You would be insane, I think, to give up a first and second round pick for A.J. Brown. Insane, legitimately. A.J. Brown's still a talented, very good receiver. He's not young, but he's not old yet. But he's right around the corner of turning 30 by next year. I think he's 29, I believe, right now. He's either 28 or 29. You know, you're right around that time where it's like, okay, we're seeing the best years of A.J. Brown right now. There isn't maybe he'll get better at a certain point in his life. He's 28. He'll be 29 in June. So he'll be playing the season. This is going to be his age 29 season, which means he definitely could still have a big year this year. But come next season, come the season after that, now you're talking about 30-year-old receiver, and that can go many different ways. It's not like 30-year-old running backs where it's like it goes off a cliff. It can go. Some guys can play at a high level up to 33 years old. Some guys, they hit 30 years old and it's a cliff and they're done. So we don't know. So the Eagles putting out that they want a first and a second, that's ludicrous. Nobody's going to trade for that, in my opinion. I made the case that, like, to me, like, maybe you get 1 second-round pick for A.J. Brown. I made the case that maybe you get, maybe someone would give up a first, like a late first-round pick, or maybe a pick for next year's draft. I didn't think that a first and second was anything that could have been possible. It makes me feel like they're trying to send a message that you're going to have to knock our socks off in order to get us to leave the A.J. Brown business, which I think is a mistake. What are we doing with this guy? Like, Howie is the best at this, so I'm assuming he knows what he's doing. But A.J. Brown has been a malcontent. He has made it pretty clear that he is frustrated with how the Eagles' offense is moved. So much so that it does not matter whether or not they win or lose. That is what he has told us. The Eagles, at times, have been playing great football. And if he wasn't getting the rock, he was calling team meetings and crashing out and being passive-aggressive in the media. And listen, he has his Super Bowl ring. I feel very different about guys who have Super Bowl rings who pull this stuff. You have a Super Bowl ring. You've sacrificed. You did everything you need to do to help your team win a championship. If at this stage in your life you just want to go somewhere and put up numbers and make Pro Bowls and just maximize the amount of individual success that you want, I'm actually kind of okay with that. It's guys who don't win who want to do that kind of bothers me. It's like, you haven't won anything. Like, do you care at all about the team concept and anything? A.J. Brown has done that already. He's already won a championship. So I don't have, in a vacuum, I don't really care that he wants the ball more. He wants to be more of a part of the offense. If that's what he wants, fine. Let him do that somewhere else. That can't be your problem if you're Philadelphia. That can't be your issue to try to figure out, all right, we got this great player who's aging, who doesn't care about winning anymore and only wants his numbers. But we're a team that's a Super Bowl bust team and a fan base that will draw and quarter us if we underachieve. How do we figure this out? Seems pretty simple to me. The guy that's not about the team and the guy that's only about his stats and about him having individual success, seems like that should be the guy that can go. That seems like an easy solution. We're done. It sucks. He's a very good player. I think in theory he can still help the Eagles, but you got to cut your losses at this point in time, because keeping them around actually is fool's gold to think that keeping him around means you're going to be able to capture the lightning in a bottle you caught, last year or 2-3 years prior to that and getting back to the Super Bowl, because this is a different A.J. Brown. This is a different part of his career, a different part of his life. He's a different person. You're a different person than you were 3 years ago. So, like, at this point of his career, he's not searching for winning more Super Bowls. If he did, he would not have been complaining about not getting the ball while they were winning. Now, I guess the argument can be made that, well, he wants to win, but he thinks the best way for them to win is him getting the ball all the time. Well, then he's delusional, and therefore he still shouldn't be on the team. Either way you shake it out, if you want to say he is a team guy, but he just is going about it the wrong way, and he thinks that the best chance for them to win is him getting the ball all the time, that's delusional as well, because the Eagles have a balanced offense where other guys have to touch the ball, and while the offensive execution hasn't been the greatest, that's the one thing that A.J. Brown has been right about, and their passing game has not been the greatest. Again, it's a thing that you cannot say A.J. Brown was wrong about at all. He is right about that. But the idea that the solution is for him to just get the ball all the time and that's going to help them win, we've seen them try that. That doesn't work. They need to take what the defense gives them. The defense typically likes to take A.J. Brown away because he's the biggest, strongest, fastest guy they have. He is the most dangerous weapon that they have overall. So if you're going by the Bill Belichick adage of how to coach defense, you take away the other team's best player just like you would in an NBA basketball game. That's how Bill Belichick coaches defense. And when teams play the Eagles, their decision when they play them is we got to take away A.J. Brown. It means Devontae Smith may hurt us. It may mean Goddard hurts us. It may mean Saquon hurts us. We just may have to live with that because A.J. Brown is the most dangerous weapon on this team, at least in the passing game. Those other guys hurt us in the passing game. all right, you shake your hand and say you won. Good stuff. You're a great team. What are we gonna do? We cannot say let's put a corner on an island unless he's like, you know, like a Derek Stingley type of kind of guy, and say let's a Trent McDuffie and say okay, go out there and cover AJ Brown, and you got no help. That's just not realistic. So the Eagles don't force it to them. They say let's see if we can get them out of those coverages, or let's just make them pay by hitting them with these other weapons, or running the football with Saquon Barkley. That's sound strategy. That's sound football. Do they execute it well? No, because they're not well coached. But it is the right way to go about playing. He doesn't care about that. So what are we wasting our time with? I don't know. This seems a first and second round pick. That's unserious. You're not getting a first and second round pick for AJ Brown, who's going to be 29 years old. Give me a break. AJ Brown's last 3 seasons, we've seen, really 4 seasons, we've seen a decline in stats. Not huge declines, but incrementally. First year in Philadelphia, he had 1,400 yards. Almost 1,500 yards. Second year, 1,450. Then 2024, when the problems really started to persist, even though they won a damn Super Bowl, just over 1,000 yards, close to 1,100 yards. And then last year, he barely squeaked by to 1,000 yards. It was in more games, so he did perform more consistently, but his yards per catch were way down last year, and he got targeted a ton to get to 78 catches. He needed 121 targets. The previous year, for 67 catches, he only needed 97. So we know where this is going. You ask about first and second round pick, no NFL team's giving you that. What are we doing? I don't know. Feels like a waste of time. I don't know why they're playing these games with AJ Brown. He don't want to be there. I think you're playing with fire for a team that I think can still be very good once he's gone. Because you can let him go. There are some really good wide receivers in this draft that I definitely think, even in the second round, you want to get an Omar Cooper or somebody like that. Like you can find suitable replacements for that Eagles offense next year. It won't be the same, but just because it's not the same doesn't mean you can't still be dangerous. You can't still be good. You still have an awesome defense. This is unserious from the Eagles. Until that price comes down, AJ Brown's going nowhere. And if he actually does go nowhere, that would be a grave mistake for Philadelphia. Let's shift things to basketball. It's such a big night in the association. Someone mentioned this earlier, and I forgot who pointed it out. But right now, the Knicks are playing the Thunder. So I got to get to that game. I got to watch that for sure. We'll talk about that tomorrow. NBA's got to figure out how to avoid premier matchups happening on teams playing on back-to-backs. That should never happen. Like, Knicks playing this game, they're playing them without Mitchell Robinson, who doesn't play back-to-backs because as they manage his ankle situation. He's had ankle issues pretty much since he entered the league, it feels like. But it definitely feels like the last 3 or 4 years. And because of that, they don't play him on back-to-backs. You could argue, well, did they not play him last night? Fair. But I also could argue, maybe you play him against a team you feel like you're more likely to beat. Therefore, you can have that win in your back pocket, because beating the Thunder with or without Mr. Robinson is going to be hard. But either way, someone mentioned, what is the NBA doing? Like, the OKC Thunder also coming off a back-to-back. Like, this is a premier matchup with 2 of the best teams in the NBA, a possible finals preview. We don't want to watch this game and then have to go, well, it was a good game, but they were playing on a back-to-back. Who's to say, like, what the series would really look like? What do we extrapolate from it? Like, there's some things when talk about taking the NBA regular season seriously, there's some things the NBA could do to help us take the regular season seriously. I'm jazzed about this game. I can't wait to watch it after the show is over. But seeing that this is a game where they're playing both on a back-to-back, it may end up being still an awesome game, but that should never happen. The NBA knows they make the schedule. Yeah, there are always surprises. Did everyone think the Celtics were going to be the second best team in the East this year? No. Did everyone think the Spurs are going to be the second best team in the West? Probably not. But, like, we knew the Knicks and Thunder were one of the big favorites to win the championship this year. I think you could make this smart. Talk to James Dolan. Talk to the Clay Bennett. But, hey, clear your schedules. Don't have stuff around these dates for concerts or comedy shows or whatever. We want to make sure there's a real rest advantage for both teams. we don't want this to be a back-to-back. Or put this at a different point in the other season. So anyway, right now if you're watching that game, I see Thunder up 7 points. Can't wait to get to that one. Staying on the NBA though, because it could be a big night later this week. Celtics play tonight, by the way. They play the Charlotte Hornets. Jayson Tatum's return from his Achilles injury appears to be imminent. And it could come as early as Friday against the Dallas Mavericks. He tore his Achilles last year against the New York Knicks in Game 4 of the Eastern Conference semifinals. He, of course, missed the rest of the series and has not played all season. The expectation was that he was trying like hell to get back to play in this season and be ready for the Celtics playoff push. There was a report, I think we talked about it on this show early in 40 Days and 40 Nights a couple months ago, that maybe things had changed and maybe he was actually reconsidering coming back, or maybe he was deciding to just take the whole season off. And then he said that I'm reevaluating everything, I'm taking things one step at a time. It seems like now we're back to he is going to play, and he's been revving up in a major way. Here's Chris Mannix from Sports Illustrated. This was him on Running Back for FanDuel Sports, saying that, again, this return is very close.
Every indication I've been getting is that we are getting very close. I think Friday, you don't want to put a percentage on it, but I think it's certainly in play for Jayson Tatum, and certainly if it's not Friday, it's at some point quickly after that. I think we've gone past the point of will he be back, and now it's down to when he will come back. He's been, from what I'm told, checking all the boxes. I've heard that phrase many times over the last few weeks, and I think we're getting very close to see him make his return to the court.
I feel kind of mixed about this. I still don't know if this is the greatest idea. I think if he's going to come back, this is probably the time for him to do it. The idea of him coming back in April or like a couple weeks before the season or the last week of the season or just coming back in the playoffs, that should have been dead on arrival. And maybe it was. Because dropping him in, that's like stepping on a treadmill that's going 25 miles an hour. I'm rehabbing and training to get ready to play for the NBA season, and I'm being dropped right into the NBA playoffs and that level of physicality and that level of speed and that level of intensity. No. Let him come back where the season is kind of in its dog days, though you got teams that are trying to rev up and get ready for the postseason. But you kind of got the dog days of the NBA season right around now as we get closer to the end here. This is kind of the end of the dog days, I would say, like right before the All-Star break and then right after. Let him play during these dog days before things really get rev up and to get a feel for where he fits on the team, where he fits in terms of his body and what he can do. So that's the right thing to do. I just go back to the conversation we had earlier this morning about Daniel Jones. I am now becoming a firm believer in that Achilles injury is really a 2-year injury. Could you play after 1 year? Sure, and this is a little less than a year. This is about 10 months. Could you play in, this is less than 10 months. This is actually like 9.5-ish. I'll never forget when he got hurt because I was about to go to Mexico. I was traveling, so that was my Mexico trip last year, which was the middle of May. So you're talking about a 9.5 month recovery from an Achilles injury. A lot of guys in their first year, they don't look quite the same. They're not quite right. I don't know what risk he is of actually re-injuring his Achilles. I don't think that that's something you have to worry about. But I just think in terms of like how good he will be, for someone who's such a megastar, I don't think that makes sense for this year. The Celtics are really good. They're really young. They will be a wagon next season. I'd say play this year out. You may get to the finals with this team. I have my doubts, but in theory, there's no reason to suggest that they can't. Play the year out. See if you can get there with this team. And see what happens. I mean, maybe you don't win the championship, but you know what? You gain a lot of experience. And you fight like hell and you compete and see what happens. But don't risk Jayson Tatum having to go out there not 100% simply because you're trying to just chase a championship for a guy who's on a $360 million supermax contract for the next 4 years. Like, you got time. So that's kind of how I feel on his return. But then we're hearing other commentary that I think, when I mentioned earlier, we got to start to set the record straight. So here was one from Chris Mannix in terms of Jayson Tatum's fit on the team. Because it's a team that has had a great deal of success with him gone. They're, again, the second best team in the Eastern Conference. Kind of shockingly. Jaylen Brown has elevated himself to a top 5 MVP candidate. Hear how Chris Mannix talks about how Jayson Tatum is approaching his return to action.
And his role, like, look, I think Tatum knows coming back, he's stepping onto Jaylen Brown's team. Like, this is, Brown is a top 5, top 6 MVP candidate this year. He has put this team on his back offensively. And Tatum's going to have to find a way to fit into that. And I think there will be an adjustment, but I ultimately think he's going to be fine. He's Jayson Tatum. He's one of the best scorers we have in the NBA. He's going to find a way to make it work.
Is he? And let me be clear, like, Jaylen Brown has had a phenomenal year, and he has shown that he is, if not a superstar, like, he's right close. He's very close. Like, he's really good. He's a really good player. He's a great player. Beyond even very good. He's a great player, and he's an NBA champion. He's a Finals MVP. But when you say Jayson Tatum, understand this is Jaylen Brown's team, and he's going to be willing to just fit into whatever role he comes into. The last time Jayson Tatum was told to just fit in where you can and understand that this is a team concept and there are other guys who are going to be more of a priority, the guy threw a fit. I didn't forget Team USA. Did Chris Mannix forget Team USA? Did you forget Team USA? He was on the Olympic team, and he was with those old geezers, as Charles Barkley likes to say. Quoting Charles Barkley, not my quote. We were with those old geezers and Steph and LeBron and Kevin Durant. He just came off winning a championship. He was on the cover of 2K. It seemed like, everything was coming up gold for Jayson Tatum, and he gets named to the Olympic team. They're going into the Olympics. He's going to try to win a gold medal for the U.S., playing in Paris, a high visibility type Summer Olympic Games. And he falls out of the rotation. And there was a whole thing about the debate back and forth about whether or not he should have been playing, should he be on the bench. And you know who kept spurning on that debate? Jayson Tatum. He wouldn't just squash you and be like, oh, you know what? Hey, man, I'm just happy to be on the team. I'm just happy to just, root for the guys and just help wherever I can, do whatever I can. Remember I played this time with Tyrese Halliburton when Tyrese Halliburton said that they had that awkward meeting where there was that film right before a film session, and Steve Kerr kind of talked about, I'm going to have some of the leaders of the team step up here and talk about sacrifice and talk about what's going to take to win the gold. And then LeBron and KD step up there and they're like, it's going to, we all just trying to fit in, right? And we all know that, not all of us can play, and we're all just going to support each other. And then Tyrese Halliburton said he looked around the room and he was like, wait a minute, well, that guy's going to play. That guy's definitely going to play. Ooh, that guy's got to play. Ooh, that guy's an older guy, so he's going to play. Who are they talking about? Oh, snap, they're talking about me. Turned out they were talking about him and Jayson Tatum. And Tyrese Halliburton took it extremely well. He seemed like a great teammate, didn't complain, made jokes about how I got an A in the project and didn't do no work. Like, he took it in stride. As much as he drives me insane as a pacer, he just seems like a very likable, nice guy. As much as that, it makes me sick to even say that. That seems to be reality about Tyrese Halliburton. And Tatum was, not to say he's not a nice guy or anything, but he did not take it well at all. He's doing interviews like, I don't know. I think I may have to second guess when we come to LA and the Olympics. I don't know if I'm gonna be on Team USA. I'm like, yo, you serious? Like, he made this he did a whole, like, basically like a whole, like, media run talking about this Team USA thing. He didn't let it go at all. So am I convinced 100% that he's just gonna walk in and be like, oh yeah, Jaylen Brown, you take all the shots, you get all the attention, you do everything. I'm just gonna stand and be a spot up shooter. I'm just gonna stand in the corner. I don't think a guy coming off an Achilles injury in 9 months thinks like that. I don't think that. We could argue whether or not he should and he better think like that. That's a different conversation. And I would argue, yes, right now Jaylen Brown has led this team, and he's going to be the best player on this team because Tatum's coming off an injury. He's not 100%. But will Tatum be able to fit in well? Let's say he doesn't even cause problems, but will he be able to even adjust to that? Tatum, it seemed like in his spirit he couldn't adjust to that. It seemed like it bothered his soul that he was a bench warmer, even though he's playing on the greatest collection of talent that the U.S. put together. I don't know if he's going to come in and say, oh, no, Hugo Gonzalez, yeah, you go play those minutes and while I sit on this bench and play only 20 minutes a night. I'm not convinced that he's just going to be okay with that. So I thought that commentary was a little I kind of rolled my eyes about how realistic that could be. Well, respect to Chris Mannix. I love Chris Mannix, but I was like, really? Jayson Tatum, I know. I'm Kobe, I'm KG, like that guy. He that's not him. I don't know. I don't know what Jayson Tatum they're talking about. But then there's another thing about this too, and I want to be clear. Like I said at the top, Jayson Tatum is a star. He's a stud. A great player when he's 100% healthy. And for most of his career, he's been 100% healthy. Jaylen Brown's getting all the respect in the world, the MVP accolades, and all the different stuff. He deserves all of it. But we can't start lying about what this dynamic was. Because you had J.R. Smith, who was on the To the Baja podcast, hosted by Raymond Felton, Charlie Villanueva, and the guy who used to play on North Carolina, whose name I'm forgetting right now. He used to be on the Knicks, and he's like the biggest vibes guy ever. I forgot his name. Theo Pinson. There you go. Shout out to Theo Pinson. Shout out to Felton. Shout out to Charlie Villanueva. They had J.R. Smith on, and he made the case that he thinks that the Celtics not only are Jaylen Brown's team right now, that they've always been Jaylen Brown's team.
Always been his team. Why we gotta keep talking about it? Whose team? Jaylen Brown. He's a leader. He's not. First of all, he guards everybody.
Are you under the influence right now?
Sure. Why
I love that, by the way. Charlie went away from like, are you under the influence? Swish, that's JR's nickname. He's like, sure. Oh man, shout out to J.R. Smith. That's awesome. That's comedy right there. But he continued. He made the case that the perception the Celtics want people to think is that this is Jayson Tatum's team, but everybody knows it's actually Jaylen Brown's team.
It's his team. For the players, I'm pretty sure it's his team. For everybody else in the media from the outside, it's Jayson Tatum's team. That's what they want it to look like.
That's a little interesting. And then he continued by basically saying, think about Jaylen Brown's mentality and his personality. There's no way he takes a back seat as not being the alpha of the team.
Internally, Jaylen Brown's team. Jaylen Brown is the leader of that team, 100%. On and off the court.
I can see that.
Facts.
I can see
he
that.
commands. I guarantee you, he commands the film sessions, practices way more than JT do. He's the leader of that team for sure.
He's
guaranteed.
He's more outspoken.
Way more. It's not even close.
I agree.
It's just personality.
The personality. Okay.
Again, Jaylen Brown is outspoken. Jaylen Brown is definitely. He strikes me like I think I said about someone else. He strikes me as the kind of, I might have said this about him, I don't remember, but he kind of strikes me as the guy that likes the sound of his own voice. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I just think that he is someone who's always been very thoughtful, has thought very highly of himself, has multiple times talked about how he's tried to educate himself on various different things about the world, about social injustice, about basketball, about everything. He is I think I remember correctly, I think he's like a excellent piano player. Like I think he sees himself as like a worldly man and a man of greatness. That's how I think he carries himself. And he does it in a respectful way. That's why I don't mean it disrespectfully. So from that standpoint, like I get what Swish is saying that like, yeah, there's a film session going on. I'm sure Jaylen Brown is like, you're not doing this right. You're doing that right. You're failing. This is what we should do. I totally could see him being that guy. But again, you're talking about the Jayson Tatum who idolizes Kobe Bryant, who tries to create moments and recreate moments of what are supposed to be spontaneous excitement to capture the energies of his icons, the KGs, the Kobes, those kind of figures. Those guys aren't betas. Those guys are alphas. And again, Jayson Tatum wanted no part of being a bench warmer on Team USA, even though he's playing with LeBron James. LeBron James and Kevin Durant were the guys in front of him on the depth chart, and he's like, "Where's my minutes?" I think they're equals in that standpoint in terms of leadership. I think Jaylen Brown, I can see a scenario where maybe the teammates like him more. He seems to be a little more of he feels like he's probably more of an everyman. He seems to be a little more authentic than Tatum presents himself. But Tatum seems like a perfectly fine guy and a perfectly smooth guy, but I think he wants to be a star. I think he wants to be what his idols are, which is in some ways very endearing to him. Some people think it's annoying. It doesn't annoy me as much, but I find it endearing. Maybe it gets less endearing as you get older, but he was a young player when he was doing a lot of this stuff. That doesn't strike me as a guy who's going to just take a step back to Jaylen Brown. He may not want to yell and go crazy in a film meeting, but best believe he wants to get into the pictures. He wants to make sure everybody knows what he's done. He wants to be a star. He wants to create those moments. And I want to say this as well, because between this, what's kind of underlying in this commentary between Chris Mannix and J.R. Smith, what's underlying it is I think they want to say something that they know they can't say out loud. So I'm going to say it for them and tell them that they're out of their mind. Do not sit here and tell me that Jaylen Brown's better than Jayson Tatum when he's healthy. You know that's not true. Jaylen Brown knows that's not true. And Jayson Tatum damn sure will want to ensure that we all remember that that's not true. Because the best way I can describe it is when I am watching a team play, especially if my team is in the mix where I'm having to actually like worry about other teams and their players and how they affect my teams. Sometimes it's just when you see a thing. Knicks play the Boston Celtics. I am most concerned about Jayson Tatum. He doesn't always play well against the Knicks, but what he brings to the table, his game, his ability to score on all three levels. Jason and J.R. Smith mentioned how, like, I don't know if I was in one of the clips, but he mentioned, like, listen, like, of course the teammates respect him more. He guards the best of players. He's a better two-way guy. First of all, that don't mean you're the best player. Just because you guard the other team's best players. That's not true. Also, Jayson Tatum is an awesome defensive player. That's something that gets very underrated. Probably because Brown is like so good at defense. Like Brown's maybe like all NBA level. But I also think it gets underrated because if the Celtics had a choice of whose offense we're going to sacrifice in a game, they know who the best player is. They're going to sacrifice Jaylen Brown's offense. Because Jayson Tatum can do all the things Jaylen Brown does defensively. Jayson Tatum is just as athletic. Jayson Tatum is just as strong. Jayson Tatum has the same kind of stature. Jayson Tatum's an awesome defensive player. He's not a slouch at all. He's right there. Maybe once Brown's a hair better, sure. But why do you think Brown's always guarding the other team's best player? Because they got to choose which guy's offense are willing to sacrifice a little bit in order for this team to win. They cannot sacrifice Jayson Tatum's offense, which means he has to guard the second best guy. And they switch a lot, so oftentimes he ends up guarding best guys anyway. He takes Brown's off the court, and Jayson Tatum's guarding the best guy anyway, so it doesn't really matter. He ends up guarding the top guys. But don't sit there and tell me that Brown's better than Tatum. Come on now. Brown's really good. Brown deserves all the MVP praise he's getting. Do you remember the 50-point game 7 against Boston? Do you remember how Jayson Tatum was playing before the Achilles tear? Jayson Tatum was going to have a blank check kind of box score in that Knicks game before he tore his Achilles. They were going to lose because the Knicks were they turned the ball over and Knicks were about to go up 7. I don't think they were going to lose that game. Maybe I'm speaking too soon because they blew a lead to the Pacers later, but it looked like the Knicks were going to win that game. But Tatum was on one of the most diabolical heaters I can remember as a Knicks fan playing an opponent, where I was like, yo, what is going on here? He was just hitting everything. He's a better player than Jaylen Brown. They're both great. They're both borderline top 10. I had Jaylen Brown in my top 10 when I did this a couple weeks ago with Kendall. But I don't think he's Jayson Tatum. I don't think he's as reliable offensively. And I think that we're going to learn because he's going to be given the responsibility to be the number one option even during the playoffs. So I do think that regardless of what Tatum wants, I think they are going to try to run the team through Brown. I think the regular season Brown was seeing as good as he's played. I'm not sure that he's going to be this efficient and this effective in the playoffs. We'll see, though. Last thing before we get out of here. This has been a fun one. Again, 40 days, 40 nights with your boy EJ Stewart. Streaming live multiple areas, including on YouTube, New Generation Media. We're also streaming live on X, EJ_Stewart, which you can see my handle right there. And we're streaming live on Instagram, Action EJ. These episodes get podcasted, all episodes. So if you are enjoying this show, you say, oh man, I'm not going to be able to watch the rest of it. I got to go to work. I got to do whatever. Or I got to catch it some other time. And maybe you're not able to get to a computer or a TV. And maybe you don't want to watch it on your phone. Totally fine. Audio version gets posted. So you can watch the audio version of this podcast. You can just search New Generation Podcast Network wherever you get your podcasts, and you can get all episodes of 40 Days and 40 Nights, plus all episodes of all the stuff we do on New Generation Media. So Hero Talk, Imperial Broadcast, Off Script, Sports Talk, all those episodes live on our podcast channel. Just search New Generation Podcast Network wherever you get your podcasts. Okay, last thing, man. This has been a really fun show. Thank you guys for rocking me tonight. As I mentioned earlier, Friday announcement. Maggie and Perloff will be joining me live Friday for the final edition of 40 Days and 40 Nights. That'll be Friday night. Maggie Gray and Andrew Perloff join me live. It's a Kendall Friday, so you know Kendall will be here. I'm not sure. We're gonna jigsaw this puzzle around and make it work. Maybe Kendall will be before them. Maybe he'll be after them. Not 100% sure. But we gotta have Kendall on for the last show. He's been with me every Friday. He's done a phenomenal job. Give him a round of applause, Kendall. Also, shout out to Kendall. Been a warrior. Been through every week of this. Done a great job. He's my co-host when we do sports talk, so it made sense to have him on as a regular. He did his thing. But I'm really excited to have my good friend Maggie Gray.
How dare you?
And of course, my guy Andrew Perloff.
EJ's a dirt.
That'll be a lot of fun. Let's get to the end here. I want to talk about quickly the Lanterns trailer came out. This is a new show that's going to be a DC show. This is in the DCU world that's been created by James Gunn. So if you watch the Superman movie, which I loved, I thought it was a phenomenal movie, especially if you're someone who, and that's Lanterns is spelled wrong. Second time I've done a spelling error in it says Lanterns, not Lanterns. Lantern. How do you spell lantern? There you go. Wait, let's see. That look right? That looks right. There you go. Fixed it. Lanterns. That's how you spell it. No. The Superman movie that came out last year, which I thought was awesome. I love the Superman movie. In fact, I gotta watch that movie again. I don't watch enough movies over and over again. Like you may think that EJ probably all he does is just watch the same superhero movies. I don't do the repeats. Not these recent movies. Like back in the day, like I probably watched Civil War over and over again. I've watched, The Dark Knight over and over again. Like there's some old movies I've watched again. But like the newer stuff, I watched it the first time and I almost kind of like I move on. Marvel and DC, doesn't matter. It's not about Marvel sucks now. It's not even the reason why. Like I recently rewatched Doctor Strange Into the Multiverse of Madness. I might have watched this during this stretch. I don't remember. These days blend in, but I remember thinking, this movie, I like this movie. Like, now that I'm removed from, like, the disappointment of, like, this not being more multiverse fun and what they did to the Illuminati in that movie, now that I know that it happened, now that I watch it back, and I kind of, like, I'm trying to take in other things in the movie that I've done well, I was like, this is a good movie. It's very good. I think that part of it I didn't love, but everything else was really good. So I kind of understood why the critics liked it maybe more than the fans did. So I don't really watch as much movies as I should. But I haven't watched Superman yet again, but I watched it twice in the theaters. But I gotta watch that movie again because that's one of my favorites. But Lanterns is gonna be in that same world, and I'll be real. The trailer came out today. I wasn't that impressed. Now the thing about trailers is, it does not mean the show can't be really good. The show could be awesome. It's a trailer. Who knows what's gonna happen when it comes to how a movie's gonna go, how a show's gonna go based on a 2-minute cut together thing. Sometimes you can see trailers and be like, yeah, this is terrible. This is not gonna go well. I'm not going that far. It's not like it's poorly shot. It's not like it looks campy or anything weird. It's nothing like that. But just tonality of it, I'm sold. Like I can't. This is not what I wanted from a Green Lantern project from DC. Does not mean it won't be awesome. Sometimes what I want isn't what's best. Sometimes they end up doing something that's much better or something that's unique that ends up being also really good. If you told me that Watchmen was going to be the show that they presented us, like in a vacuum, I don't know if I would have loved that idea for a sequel to Watchmen. But then you watch the show and you're like, this is one of the greatest television series I've ever seen. So it doesn't mean that this can't be awesome. Just, I think of Green Lantern, I think of Space Cowboy. I think of Intergalactic. I think of big sets. I think of, new worlds. That aspect of it is important. And if you're gonna keep them earthbound, you gotta show me something more than they showed me with this. I'll show you some of the images. Obviously, I don't want to show you the trailer because I don't want to get copy struck or anything like that. But this was probably one of the biggest things we saw, which was Hal Jordan actually flying. This is the only powers you see in this trailer. You see the ring. You never see it get activated. You never see any ring animations or any illuminations coming from the ring of them creating anything cool or doing anything cool. This is the best you got, was Hal Jordan flying at one point. That was the best. We did get a shot of Hal Jordan's suit. Hal Jordan, by the way, is being played by Kyle Chandler. The suit's okay. I don't know. This didn't move me. I guess that's green. It almost looks kind of brownish, but the suit's fine. It was nothing that made me go crazy or anything special. It's fine. But again, the suit didn't even get me out of my seat in any major way. And you guys know I'm a James Gunn guy. I'm not here to try to hate on James Gunn or hate on DC. I'm just giving you my honest opinion. I'm always gonna keep 100. I was like, okay on the suit. That was a shot we saw. Again, this is Kyle Chandler, who again will be playing Hal Jordan in this show. This is a series that's gonna be on HBO Max. He's playing a more grizzled, older Hal Jordan, and a lot of the commentary between him and Aaron Pierre, who's right here. He's gonna be playing John Stewart, who of course was the Green Lantern in the cartoon. If you watch the Justice League cartoon, John Stewart is the Green Lantern in that show, and a lot of millennials of my generation, they think of John Stewart as their Green Lantern because a lot of them were introduced to Green Lantern by the Justice League cartoon. So that's being played by Aaron Pierre, and he's being opposite Kyle Chandler, who again is playing an older, grizzled Hal Jordan. What show is presented in this trailer is this is essentially, old gunslinger teaching, the young guy the ropes of how to be a Green Lantern. And Hal Jordan makes it kind of clear that he's been a Green Lantern for a while, and he's been doing this forever, and he's trying to teach this young whippersnapper kind of, what it means to be a Green Lantern. But he's a little grizzled, right? He's got a little 4 o'clock shadow. He's got a little salt and pepper in the hair. And that's the other thing about this. I think now that I've watched it, again, this could be good. This is also not the Hal Jordan I want to see. You know what vibes it gives me? It's totally different vibes, but it's kind of a similar thing. It's almost like Marvel when they made the decision to make Hank Pym, Michael Douglas, which meant that he was going to be really old and not Ant-Man. And I was like, this works for what Marvel is doing, and it really kind of cements Scott Lang as Ant-Man. There's not going to be, let's see, Michael Douglas in suit. Michael Douglas is 70, so there's no reason to want that or even suggest that. It really put over Paul Rudd's portrayal in a major way, but it eliminated a lot of possibilities. It's I'm not saying Hank Pym's the biggest hero, but I would like to see Hank Pym as Ant-Man and maybe have him give over the mantle, or maybe he screws it up because Hank Pym screws up a lot of things. They kind of took a lot of that off the plate by making him an older Hank Pym. This is kind of what it feels like they're doing with Hal Jordan, where it's they really want to put over John Stewart. So you're not going to have any questions about Hal Jordan moving forward because he's old. This is not somebody that I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't survive this series, to be honest, because you kind of get the vibe of this is a guy who's going to be willing to put it all on the line, and he's teaching this young guy, the ropes to eventually replace him. But they don't quite get along. The banter is a lot of I'm the old grizzled guy, you should listen to me, and the young guy being you're not showing me anything, you're not showing me enough, and at the end of the day, you actually aren't good enough to be the Green Lantern. This trailer just didn't move me. It's a little tropey. They're definitely going for a True Detective vibe. The problem with the True Detective vibe, again, is that those vibes aren't Green Lantern. They don't scream Green Lantern in any way. My thing was, let's see what I see from it. They didn't hide that this was going to be the story. They said they wanted to do a grounded Green Lantern story. There was word that this was going to be a True Detective inspired story, and this is what you're getting, no question. But now seeing it in application just from a trailer, I'm this is not what I would have asked for ever. So let's see. Doesn't mean it won't be good. Doesn't mean it doesn't have a chance to surprise people. I just was looking for more. Maybe the dialogue was a little more punchy. Maybe I would have got something there, but I just didn't get enough from the dialogue or enough from the images that we saw for me to really feel good about this trailer. I thought this trailer could have been an email, man. I'm being real. Again, hopefully the show's good. Show could be good, but if you love True Detective and you're not married to the idea of Green Lantern being a certain thing, maybe this will intrigue you. Again, it just felt, I don't know. I don't like when a show is trying to be something else and it just seems so obvious. It just felt like this was trying to be True Detective. Like, I've never watched True Detective, but I've seen enough trailers and clips to know the vibe of it. I'm not going to go far as say it's parody because I think this is serious. It takes itself very serious, this show. But it's almost like, it almost takes itself too seriously. Like, there is no wink and a smile that this is what they're doing. The dialogue's kind of, from the trailer, is kind of blocky, kind of stoic. Again, it's very old Western, True Detective style. It's like, oh, we're doing an old Western True Detective. Like, it's like, it feels like you're telling me what you're telling me, not showing me in a weird way, even though you're there showing me. Just didn't feel it. Hopefully it's good. We'll see what happens. I'm a big fan of James Gunn. Big fan of what DC's been doing. This trailer, though, did not do it for me, man. Oh, man, this was a fun show. I want to thank you guys so much for checking out this edition of 40 Days and 40 Nights. Again, big announcement earlier. Friday night 40. Along with Kendall Fridays, Kendall will be here. Maggie and Perloff will also be here for Friday, the final show of New Generation Media's 40 Days and 40 Nights. But we got a whole day 39 and night 39 to get into. So let's see what we get into tomorrow. We'll have a lot of fun regardless. This has been a fun night 38. Thank you guys so much for checking me out. Again, make sure you follow me, EJ_Stewart on X, ActionEJ on Instagram, and make sure you subscribe to the channel and the podcast. Give me a 5-star review. I'm EJ Stewart. See you guys later.